This episode of WrestleCrate is sponsored by this episode of WrestleCrate. This episode of Before the Free Count is sponsored by WrestleCrate, the number one subscription box for all wrestling fans. Subscribe now and use code BTTC and get an extra box for free when you first subscribe.
Are you ready?
We are Before the Free Count. Wrestling for the fans, by the fans. Your number one place for wrestling news, rumors, and all things wrestling. Charlie and Callum are two regular guys that met at a wrestling convention and now are bonded for life.
Not word bonded.
And now they talk about wrestling in their spare time.
We're back. New series. This is Before the Free Count. And this is the road to WrestleMania. So come along for the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this week's episode of Before the Free Count. I am joined yet once again by my co-host with the Mofost, Mr. Callum Jamie Hunt. Callum, how are we doing this week?
Very, very well. Thank you very much. Doing very well. I hate how this camera, sorry guys, that is the opposite way. Maybe this is how I look normally. And what I will say, Charlie, is great radio voice though. Fantastic radio voice.
Oh, thank you very much.
Love that.
We are very sorry we didn't do a video last week. We just got really caught up with life. It does happen every now and then. However, a lot has happened considering where we left off, Callum. We now officially have our first main event for WrestleMania, which was confirmed on Monday. And of course, we have a lot to talk about because we haven't spoken about it since the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. You go back and you listen to that episode, you listen to all the people we mentioned. I don't think we took Jey Uso serious once. But here we are, and I'm about to say Jey Uso is facing Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania in Las Vegas. That is something I really didn't think I was going to be saying. Going into the week of Rumble, going back to that podcast, I would have put 100 quid that was not going to happen. Honestly, and we both watched it together. I kind of really regret we didn't record our reactions because we could have used that as a vlog last week, so we do apologise.
I kind of think that they should have, I know we're going to deep dive into the Rumble, but I kind of feel like they should have maybe done it the opposite way around because, I feel like the Rumble is a huge, huge event, and I think maybe Jey Uso should have won the Elimination Chamber.
I don't think it would have worked as well if it was Elimination Chamber. Now I've had time to digest it. I don't think it would work. Because if you think about it, it's now what it's done, which is obviously really clever. As wrestling fans, we always get I personally feel, and I know I do it, and I know you definitely do it, it's we kind of react to that moment and go, oh, why the are you doing that? And then 2 weeks later, you look back in perspective and you go, oh, it makes sense now. And there's a lot of things at the moment that's going on that I guarantee you within 2, 3, 4 weeks time, we're going to look back and go, oh, there was a plan in place. Because at the moment, let's be honest, WrestleMania seems very up in the air. But I've still got faith. I think there is a long-term plan here.
And speaking of WrestleMania, we're going to be there.
We're going to be there. We keep mentioning this.
It's all paid off.
I know.
We've got our visas.
That was the big part.
And
had to get that bit. What's the bit we didn't mention in the podcast? It was like, we're going to Las Vegas. Get your visa yet? We're going to do it in a few weeks.
We've kind of got
February.
We've kind of got everything sorted, really. I think
we kind of have. We just haven't decided which days we're doing certain things. I've decided when I want to do them. I haven't convinced Callum that this is the right order to do them in yet. That's basically how it's going.
Yeah.
We basically got to decide which stage we want to do WWE World and which stage we want to do WrestleCon. And if you think about it, if you're going to do 2 days at each or 1 day at each, it's going to take up a lot of your schedule. So it's kind of working out how we're going to do the podcast over there as well. There's a lot of logistics that goes into this stuff. Excuse me. But it's really exciting times. Going back to where we were, I tell you one thing. I haven't been this excited or intrigued, should I say, with the Elimination Chamber in about 5 years. And
Yeah.
I genuinely mean that because of the way they've done it. Because the Elimination Chamber for the last few years, in my personal opinion, has been like, oh yeah, it's the last one before we get WrestleMania. And I've never thought of any more of it than that. I know you always get really cool spots on it because of, it's in the chamber and, people can jump off it and all that. I mean, look at the things we've seen before with, I think one of the best moves I've seen in a long time was actually, I believe it was it last year? It was in Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah, the move with Austin Theory and whoever it was it Brock Lesnar or was it
Well,
Gun? It
mate,
was
that I think that was before. I don't think that was last one because there
I
was
could
a
have
move
sworn it
with
was though.
Brock Lesnar, but I don't think he was involved in the last ones. Now he didn't turn up at the Rumble. I kind of feel like he is done. I feel like there
I
is no
think with
more
some of the
Brock
stuff that's
Lesnar.
come out that it could be, but again, I don't know. I don't know. You really don't know that guy. One thing that I'm gonna just put in there now, and if I get this right, bloody genius, by the way. I think if Brock is going to come back this year, it's either going to be at SummerSlam, which would be the obvious one, or or he ain't gonna have anything to do with Mania. But 2 years ago, he came back on the night after WrestleMania and threw Cody to hell. What if he does the same thing 2 years later? And it really is out of the blue. I think I think if it's gonna happen, that could happen. Mm. But yeah, let's go back. Let's just review the Rumble very quickly. Brilliant Rumble in general, I have to say.
I don't know. I
Probably
wasn't that keen.
really.
Yeah, I didn't love it.
I've gone back and watched it, and I genuinely think it's one of the best I've seen in the last few years.
Really?
Yeah, honestly, the pops were there, the surprises were there. I mean, like if anyone had said to me, "Hey, in the last 20 minutes, Logan Paul's gonna throw out, Drew, gonna throw out Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins all in one move," I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever." Like
Okay,
honestly,
yeah, but what about, you know, oh, I suppose Speed was quite a
that's what
surprise.
I was literally just about to mention was I Show
I, f-
Speed. Not a big fan of the guy.
I find that really
Seen
funny,
a lot of his
actually.
YouTube stuff,
I'm a fan of Speed. I think
but
he's
that
funny.
was oh my god, was that brutal?
I actually have to
And I
do a
think that's the number
presentation,
one clip that's come out of this. It's had like it's
and
something like 109 million views.
that's exactly why they do it. That's
Oh,
exactly why
100%.
they have
It's
the
free
influencers on
promotion.
there. Yeah.
But
So
I'll give him one thing. If I was an influencer and they said they were going to do that to me, I'd be like, you can fuck off. No way would I have taken that.
yeah,
No way in hell. But that was incredible with Bron Baker and I Show Speed. It wasn't just the speed he went down. It was the speed that Bron was doing from one side of the ring to the other. I mean, it really was like he just smashed right into him out of nowhere. Your camera's gone. There we go. So that was one of my favorite moments. I
why does it
think John
keep?
Cena got the deserved pop he got when he did come out, and he came out a lot earlier than a lot of people think. Than people thought. Sorry, I think he came out around about 13th or 15th. It was a lot earlier than people thought. Um, I thought it was brilliant that they kicked it off with Rey Mysterio and Penta. I thought that was a genius idea. Um, would really like to see that become a match at WrestleMania. But the thing is, I think they're going to go down the tag team route with them too, which I'm a little bit concerned about, especially with Penta, because he's got so much momentum at the moment. You just don't. The guy is so hot right now that I am so worried that they're not going to do this right because he's so over with fans right now. Every single time when he has these little matches, I'm like, please, please don't make this a long term thing with this person, please, please. And they need to do it in a way that it's like after the chamber or something like that, where he actually says, right, this is my plan, this is what I'm doing, and then whoever it's going to be comes out. I just feel that's. But I think Ray versus Penta would be fantastic for Mania. But I just don't know. Again, as I said, I really don't know which way they're going to go with that.
Yeah, because one of them's sort of got to be a heel if they do that, I suppose.
But then again, this is why I think they're going to go down the tag team route because you could have Penta and Ray versus Dom and JD, whoever the luchador he got for Chad Gable to work with. You know what I mean? It connects the dots. It works. Another thing very quickly. I know I keep on jumping from place to place. One thing that came out this morning is according to reports, Drew McIntyre's plans for Mania have completely changed due to the reaction of fans. Because from what was the original plan, and I was quite shocked that I mean it makes sense, and they kind of hinted at it, but I just thought, really, that's the route you're going to take after the year he had last year? Apparently, the original plan for Drew at Mania this year was for him to build up a storyline and have heat with Damian Priest because he cashed in on him last year. Now I get it, it makes sense, but let's be honest, after the year Drew's had, I think that's probably one of the best years he's ever had with that storyline he had going with CM Punk. For them to like then just go, oh, you remember that thing that happened a year ago before all this kicked off? Yeah, we're going to go back to that just for the sake of it. There's no title on the line. There's nothing. It's just that I'm happy that if from what I've heard is true that they're changing that.
Yeah, there's just so many stars in too little space, I think.
I think that's the main thing at the moment. Is that it's not that people are going, there's nothing. They're not doing anything with Mania. I think it genuinely is a position where, okay, here you go. You be the GM for the day. Okay, you being the GM of the day. Here's 6 brilliant storylines they've done. Okay, right. You tie the knot between all of them so everyone will be happy. And I genuinely think that is where they are. Another thing on that, I'm convinced now that The Rock is showing up at Mania.
Really?
And yeah, do you want to know why?
If you're smart. Why?
Because if you look at the broad schemes of things, none of this, as I just said, makes any sense what they're doing at the moment. It's just come out that they've changed Drew's plans. They don't know what they're going to do with Steph. Roman's in a very fluctuous place. Let's be honest, we kind of know that it's going to be Cena versus Cody, which kind of puts that aside. But again, considering we went into the Rumble convinced with the 6 names we had, and that didn't happen, even that's not freaking guaranteed now. So let's look back at how it was last year. They announced that Cody won the Rumble. Everyone presumed he's going to go for Roman. Rock comes out and he makes him hand over something to him, and he then shakes his hand. And they're basically confirming that it's going to be Rock versus Roman Reigns. Fans kick off. We want Cody. All happened. They changed the entire thing. The same thing is happening this year. The same thing is happening this year. But I think this year they expected it. And I think that in the long term plan, Rock was always going to do it. I think we're going to have 3 men's main events. Genuinely. I think you're going to have, if it was me, this is how I think it's going to be. Well, 4, actually. You're going to have Jay versus Gunther, which I think they
Mm.
could really build on now with momentum. I'm pretty sure it's going to be John versus Cody because to me it just makes so much sense. He was the guy he looked up to. He trained with him. He helped him really get across in quite a lot of things. I know his dad was a lot involved and his brother was involved, but John was really a person he really looked up to for Cody. It would make sense handing the torch over, all of that, you know. I think we're going to have CM Punk versus Steph. I think that's going to be their match, and it will be something like a no hold bars or something like that, and I think it will be
Mm.
brilliant. And I think you are going to have Roman versus Rock. I'm just convinced It doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't do it this year. You don't do a whole year of build up to not do it this year. Sorry, I've spoken a lot there.
No, that's fine, mate.
Let me
Sorry.
um let me throw it over to you. What do you think the initial plan is this year?
Um, eh, okay.
Your camera's gone, by the way.
Oh, that's really annoying. It keeps doing that. I'll fix it. I'll try and fix it. So CM Punk, I feel like will definitely be involved. I actually think CM Punk will be involved to the extent. Oh, I think we're going to get a fatal four-way main event. I actually think we might get a fatal four-way. I think we might have Cena, Roman, and Punk all in the main event together.
But they did that last year. I mean,
Did
I
they?
think if think about it, you had Rock, Roman, Seth, Cody, Fatal Four Way. All right, it's a tag team match, but it's the same kind of thing. I know people are going to judge me for saying that them two matches the same things. I know they have different rules. I know that only two people come out a champion in a tag team, and then Fatal Four Way, someone wins overall. But in terms of putting 4 stars in the ring to just go, okay, there you are, there's them four sorted. You know. And here's another thing. I've just realised the four that I've just said, I didn't even include Drew McIntyre in that. And that's my problem. You see what I mean? I've come up with 4 matches there, and that's just personally what I want to see, what I think is going to happen. And I've still missed out one of the main stars. And it goes back to exactly what you just said a minute ago. How do you put this together and make it make sense?
Mm.
Let's be honest, someone is going to be put under the thumb here, and it's just not going to be their year. And it's sad to say, but that even with 2 nights of Mania, I genuinely think that will happen to one of them.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, what does night one and two look like again?
At the moment, or what I'm thinking,
What you're thinking?
I wouldn't know which order I'd put them in, but as I said, I'm just guessing the matches. I mean, personally, as I just said, I still think Rock versus Roman is going to happen. They're just building it up really slowly. It's the reason why um, Roman's taking a bit of a hiatus. I think Seth versus CM Punk would be freaking spectacular. Excuse me, would be freaking spectacular. Um, and I think that uh, obviously we've got Jay versus Gunther. That was 2. I had another one. I know I did. So here's the thing. I've already forgotten what I said a minute ago because there's so many to remember here. Rock versus Roman, Seth versus Punk, Jay versus Gunther. Who was the other one I said? Oh, Cody versus John Cena.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
That'd be really good.
I mean, if you could put it together. So I'll give you all the names again. So it's that don't have matches.
I'm
Okay.
going Punk versus Cena. Punk versus Cena. Yeah, but then again, Cena won't be.
That would make a lot of sense as well.
That would be really good. I
That
think
would
people would
make a
like to see that.
lot of sense.
You
Because
know,
it would be a massive throwback to the last time that he left with a belt. One with a belt.
Rollins, Seth Rollins, Cody, and then Jacob Fatu
You
versus
just said
Roman
Cody
Reigns.
versus you said John
Yeah,
Cena versus CM Punk.
yeah, how do
I
you
don't
feel
think
about
that
that?
works. For one reason. There's no there's nothing on the line there apart from pride. And I don't and I'm not saying that this sounds really mean, but I'm not saying that wouldn't work for Punk. I don't think it would work at all for Cena, considering it's his last Mania. And that's the thing why I
He
keep
needs to be, yeah, he
why I
needs to
keep on
be,
putting Cena in at least a title match
he needs
because
to be
I
going for the
don't
title,
see
I
it
think.
any other way. It's his last Mania. Or we do get something, as you said earlier, we do get something like last year where you could have right, here you go, here's an idea. You have the fatal four way, but the person that wins gets added to a triple threat match against Cena and Cody. Hmm?
Yeah.
That could work. But and then you'd still have Roman versus Rock. But then you've got to decide which one out of them two do you put on last? Because as much as people say, and I know I said it earlier, that there could be 3 main events, 4 main events, you have the women's as well. There'll be 6. Because they're not going to not call them the same things. They are. They are the same things. And personally, I genuinely do agree that you've got 2 nights of Mania now. The women should headline one of them. Just
Mm.
being honest.
I'm of the belief that the best match, the biggest fucking draw
Yeah,
should
a hundred
headline, yeah.
percent. But they need to give them that story so it makes sense to give them that opportunity. And what I mean by that is why are they not putting the same amount of effort into the Tiffany thing and the Rhea thing? But again, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm saying the wrong thing because we don't know what's going on with everyone else, as we've just clearly said. Um, I just last year really annoyed me, especially on the women's side, because they had a brilliant, brilliant story for um Io Sky versus Bailey, and to me that should have been the headline of one of the nights, but because of what they did with the story and fair play, it was spectacular. It made sense. I just felt that if there was any other story that should have headlined that year on one of the nights, it should have been that one. And that's what annoys me is that you get years where they clearly could, but they won't. And there's other years where they're going to, but they don't give them enough promotion, airtime, whatever to build the story for it to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think there's going to be any room in there for Logan Paul at all?
Oh, 100%. He'll get something. He always does. And I've said this many, many times. I was even saying this at work today, actually. Was I don't like Logan Paul as a person. I don't, okay? Long and short of it, I don't. As a wrestler, he is spectacular. He is absolutely spectacular. And someone at work actually said he actually puts to shame half that locker room with what he can do with a few appearances. And I can't not agree with him. I really can't. Because some of the stuff he has done, if you go back from last Royal Rumble to this year, just look at Logan Paul's matches and the moments that he's made. There's people that have been with WWE for the last 5 years. There's people that have been with them that are going to be the next breakout stars. So they say for the last 2 years, 3 years. They don't have half of them moments. And yet this isn't WWE giving him these opportunities anymore. This is him making them moments happen. Because I guarantee you, if he weren't as good, he would be out the door a lot quicker than people think. Because he has got so many other things that he could be doing.
That's the thing. Like Logan, I think Logan's very committed though.
I won't call him a full-time wrestler until he does at least a 6 month schedule. And the reason why I say that is because Brock did a part-time schedule and yet he was spectacular. But he was still doing every other Raw, every other SmackDown, every other pay-per-view. You know, I mean, Brock's schedule was January through to September or October through to March. Well, May. And that was it. That's what he did. And what he did in that time was unbelievable. And as I said, I have so much respect for Logan Paul. I think he does put half the locker room in shame, but I will not call him a full-time wrestler until he does at least that. Heck, build it up with slow steps. Make him do the 3 months work for Mania. I mean, he's kind of doing it this year. If he keeps it up to this schedule, maybe I will, change my mind on that. But I guarantee you, he will do about four. What we got? 7 weeks, 8 weeks till Mania. I guarantee you, he'll probably do two or push three Manias, three Raws or SmackDowns until Manias. He'd do Mania, then he'd go away, and then he won't appear again until something like Money in the Bank or SummerSlam.
Yeah. Do you think he'll ever be world champion? Do you think so?
Again, going back to what I literally just said, he could be if he
He
put
could
in the
be.
time. But
Yeah.
also, as I
I think
said,
that's how he would win
it's
over the fans, right?
exactly. But the thing is, you can't. Going back to what I said about 5 minutes ago now, don't like the guy, but he's a brilliant wrestler. But to be fair, with what he's got going on, he doesn't need to give the full time because let's be honest, he's making double that with a coconut flavored water drink. Plus the fact he's got his other businesses on the side. Plus the fact he's still kind of involved in the UFC thing with his brother. Plus the fact he's still got, I think he's got his own game on whatever app on your phone uses. He does all them things. He's not just in one. He's basically like an American KSI. He's not in one category anymore. You can't go, oh, he just does YouTube. Well, no, he doesn't. He does music. He does acting. He's got his own company. He's got a big clothing brand. I mean, Jesus, look at the Sidemen's clothing brand. Look how big that is now. We're going really off subject here. We're going into influencers. This is a wrestling podcast, for God's sake. This is what these blinking influencers make us do. Make us go completely off subject.
Uh, so overall, the Royal Rumble is it set? Is it set up a good Mania?
I think it's set up an interesting road to WrestleMania. That is what I will call it. I mean, let's be honest. I had Becky Lynch down to win it. I clearly didn't get them predictions right. Nowhere near it. And actually, on that, we will speak about that again just after this. We just want to take this time before we start again, thank our sponsors, WrestleCrate. We've got loads of cool stuff that we can recommend you for WrestleCrate for with this amazing code BTTC. You can use this to get your first month's WrestleCrate, and when you order it, you will also get a free box included. That's right. Not only do you get your first month with all of those cool wrestling goodies involving stuff like cool t-shirts, epic pins, amazing autographs, and cool posters, but you're also going to get an extra free box with some extra goodies for some previous boxes, all put into one. Some of those things could include autographs from people like Ric Flair, Sting, and t-shirts from people like Jeff Hardy, Leo Rush, and of course, the House of Pain. We've got some amazing t-shirts from these guys. We've got some awesome pins from these guys, and the autographs you get are second to none in quality. Go to www.wrestlecrate.co.uk and use code BTTC to get your extra free box with your order now. Okay, let's get back to it. So, let's go on to the women's side of it. We haven't spoken about that much. We're getting into it just before we took our little break there. But okay, so Charlotte Flair. What was your initial reaction when she came out?
Fine. I mean, Charlotte Flair is, she's one of those people I would think personally that people would miss her if she wasn't there. And I think that, quite frankly, she's brilliant at what she does. She's an amazing athlete. She's an amazing wrestler.
Was she happy she came back?
Happy she came back, maybe. Not happy she won.
Yeah, and I think that's the ongoing thing with it. And it's not people, and the thing that's ironic is that people going, "Oh, but you're just fitting in with the storyline because she's trying to be a heel now." It's like, no, this is just our reaction because genuinely it doesn't make it does make sense that she won it, but at the same time it doesn't. I personally, I'm just being honest. I don't think it was fair to the people that have been there for the last year that she can just walk straight back in and win it, and also be the second woman to ever win it. Just being honest here, you know.
But in all honesty, the storyline, her and Tiffany Stratton, that is quite a cool match on paper.
And the thing is, we're recording this on Wednesday, the 12th of February. So there is a chance that when this comes out on the Friday, that you genuinely may know who she's going for. And to be honest, I actually still think there's a possibility she's going to go for Rhea. And I'm just being honest here. I genuinely think there's still a possibility because I
She goes for
know
who?
for Rhea Ripley instead.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying that, okay? WWE love telling ongoing stories, like longevity stories. And I just think in their head, they're just going, oh, it'd be so poetic to say there was 3 chapters of Rhea versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. And it does. It does sound great, you put it that way. But let's be honest, the first one wasn't even that great. I'm just being honest. The second one was so spectacular, it should have headlined that night. And two, I don't really see the point in them doing it literally 2 years after the last one. If they're going to do it again, they need to give it at least 3, 4, 5 years. Because in 2, 3 more years' time, they could genuinely end up in a position where they go, oh, let's do it again. And then by then, people will just be bored of it. So I'm not saying don't, but don't do it now, if you know what I mean. But that's why I think it could still happen, is because it's always about like, oh, it looks so nice in such a poetic way. It was 3 chapters. You had the start, the middle, the end, the blah 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 blah. And you really saw Rhea grow up during it. That's genuinely what they think, and that's why I'm not gonna say it's definitely gonna happen because I don't know. But I again with it goes back to the Jey Uso thing. Everyone thinks it's written and done already. I don't think it is. I think there's still a twist. Hey, what if the twist is, and no one else has thought of this yet, just because she went there to do it? Imagine if the twist is she goes for someone for NXT. Because she had the talk. It could happen.
Yeah, it could. It really could.
Yeah.
Um, oh, what about Alexa Bliss? Do you think she has any role?
Right, here's my genuine thing. And me and my friend were talking about this at work today. And we were just discussing what we thought could happen, what won't happen. And I was going to get into this a little bit later, but whatever. Looking at the women's elimination chamber at the moment, just purely from who's got through, I I genuinely think it's a guarantee that Alexa Bliss will win it. And I know I've said
Yeah,
that quite a few times tonight and then gone, but we don't know because what happened with Jey Uso at the Rumble, we don't. But here's why I think it could happen. Alexa Bliss wins, okay,
mm,
goes for Rhea, okay, because that's who it would make more sense. During the match, Rhea gets attacked by the Wyatt Six, which helps Alexa win. It's then revealed at Mania that she's part of the Wyatt Six. That could then build on a story all the way up to SummerSlam, where you could have a almost War Games type of match with the Judgment Day versus the Wyatt Six. It makes sense. It'll be a good story, and they would have something really good to build on from it. And it would make sense every step of the way.
yeah. I think it could, and that's the thing. It could really invigorate the White Six to be
Yeah.
back being cool because I think she should be the leader
Yeah.
of the whole shebang.
100%. 100%. But I'd love to say I was the one that thought that. I didn't. It was my friend. But when he said it, I was like, oh, God damn, that makes so much sense. But I want Alexa Bliss to win it because I'd really like to see her have another championship under her belt. I also think it's time for her to have another championship run. And I know I've kind of just said that ironically against Charlotte because she came back at the same time. They both came back, but one of them won automatically. With Charlotte, I think with Alexa, it's a little bit different purely because when Charlotte left, she had just lost the title. She was on this massive reign, da 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 da. When Alexa left, I think Bray had only died about 3, 4 months before. And they've done this whole thing building up to it that you've always known at some point when she does return, it's going to fit. Hit my mic then. It's going to fit back into there and it's going to just, you know, feed that gap. And I just think adding a belt to it would just make it a bit more perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great idea. It's a great idea. I just think we all know.
Yeah. I think just want to I'm gonna double check something on my phone because I'm pretty sure because I know the men's who's definitely in it. You've got CM Punk, definitely got John Cena, and you got Logan Paul. And then for the men's, and then for the women's, just double checking this, guys. I do apologize. I'm 99% sure it's Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Bailey. I'm pretty. That sounds right in my head. I just want to double check this. Oh, come on. You know when you can't find something when you want it? Where is it? Right, so the men's is CM Punk, John Cena, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul so far with 2 spaces left. And then the women's, oh, I forgot. Yeah, so you've got Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Bailey, and of course Liv Morgan's in there as well. So with them two, I think with the men's, it's pretty obvious who the last two are going to be, in my opinion. I mean, one of them's definitely going to be Seth, obviously. Um, if the other one's Roman, I don't know, but it's a possibility. Uh, but the women's, I think, is more interesting. Who do you think will fill in them last 2 spots, Callum?
Um, okay, so the last two spots there.
Remember, you can't put in Charlotte, and you can't put in Charlotte, you can't put in Tiffany, and you can't put in Rhea. Now I've said that, I've just realised one of them's really obvious.
AJ Lee.
No, no. I mean, that would be cool.
Go on, who's the obvious one?
I think the obvious one is Nia Jax. She's going to get one of those positions. She just will. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like the same thing with Logan Paul. You just knew he was going to be in there. And I think with what she's been doing recently, I think Nia Jax will almost definitely take one of those spots. It's that last spot. Who do you give it to? I mean, do we go Naomi? Maybe. Um, is Nikki Bella back full time? Because she appeared at the Rumble. You know, someone who I'd like to take one of those spots.
Go on.
Genuinely, because I just think it would be great for her career. Give Lyra Valkyria one of those shots. One of those
Yeah,
spots.
Nikita Line.
Yeah. Give it to someone that's like really, up and coming. Seriously. Give him the shot. Let him go for it. You're not going to make him win, but it fills in that gap and, puts them,
What
in a
about Jade
position.
Cargill?
I mean, I was going to say that, but the thing is, I just don't understand what they're even doing with her. I mean, was she even in the Royal Rumble?
No,
Yeah.
I don't know what's
So,
going on with her. It's kind of
yeah.
random.
And that was the thing. I thought she'd at least get a spot at the Royal Rumble. And that pretty much shocked me that she wasn't. Um, Going back to shocks really quickly, we didn't message my favorite moment of the entire night, by the way, which was Good old Joe Hendry finally showed up at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
is he going to
that
be a part of
that was
WWE?
incredible. Oh, imagine if one of those spaces in the men's was taken by Joe Henry. Oh, just imagine. Oh my God. I mean, one thing, really quickly, just jumping onto things that I've seen today. Uh, for people that follow him, John Cena never writes anything on his tweets. He puts out stuff, and then you realize 6 months later, or 3 months, 6 months later, that that's what he was hinting at. And he always hints at things that he can't talk about at the time. But he's like, "I've just been told this. Here's a little, you know, sneaky preview to try and get your minds thinking." Today, he shared a photo of the WWE logo and the TNA logo, and I thought, "Oh, what's Joe Hendry wanted since December when he won the title?" He said, "I am going for John Cena. I don't care what I've got to do to make it happen. If I win the title, I'm going for John Cena." And today he's put that out, and I thought, "Oh, that could be interesting. That could be really interesting."
That could be really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think who could take. So you've got. Let's just go through them again. So you've got the men's. Have they announced who's in the matches for next week? I don't think they have. I mean, I'm 99% sure that Seth Rollins will definitely take one of those positions. Um, I mean, do you give it to someone like Dominic?
Dominic could be good.
Dominic could be good. Damien could be good. You know,
Yeah,
because
Dominic's
you know they
great.
could change their. You know what WWE are like? They could change their minds. They could make something happen between Drew and Damien, and actually go back to the story that they were apparently originally going to do this year. That would make sense. You know, because then they've got backup in case if they do change their minds again. Let's have a look. Have they announced matches for next week? If I'm missing something, I do apologize. But no, I don't think they have because if they did, I'm 99% sure one of them. I don't know why, but I've got this feeling that Seth Rollins is next week, but they haven't said who it's with. I've just got this funny feeling I might have missed something on Raw this week, which by the way was a banger this week. Raw was brilliant. There was a brilliant match between Ray and Logan to get his place in the Rumble. Minus Logan's little botch. You know, come on, man. You should have your shoulders down if you're trying to put a move like that over. Minus that, it was a great match. And I thought the women's match was brilliant this week. Absolutely brilliant. Um, yeah, and you had some brilliant promos by CM Punk. I'm trying to remember who that match with the women was with. It was for who recently just got their place in the Elimination Chamber. I don't know. I will find this out and I'll put a photo in here. Um, but that was a brilliant match. Have you seen Raw yet, Callum?
I haven't.
No, it's really worth a watch this week. Really, really worth a watch. Oh, that was it. I'm completely forgetting that. So, spoiler alert to the people that haven't watched Raw. I have to discuss it with you because you're on the podcast. Um, there was a match between. I need to stop this and actually remember this. Give me 1 second. So the match I was thinking of for the women's, just very quickly, was Bailey versus Lyra Valkyria. I cannot recommend going back and watching that match. It was absolutely spectacular. And the thing I was trying to remember then was at the end of Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio's fight for the place in the Elimination Chamber. Of course, Logan's won. Rey Mysterio's in the ring, and then out of absolutely nowhere, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston start attacking Rey Mysterio, but before it even goes anywhere, it completely cuts off air. Like it's literally you hear Adam Cole go, "Oh my god, it's Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. What are they doing?" And that's it. It ends.
Oh,
Yeah. So what's going on there? That looks
Sophie,
interesting. Really
Sophie's
interesting.
going
But
full
what
hilt.
what I mean by that is I don't think it was meant to go off air as early as it did. I think it cut before it was supposed to. Because you know when them moments happen, they at least let it go on for another minute, minute and a half, whatever. It literally cuts just as they start talking about it. And I was just sitting there when I watched it Tuesday morning. I was like, I think they went back to the TV people a little bit too soon then. And bearing in mind it's on Netflix, I thought, what's going on here? But yeah, no, I really recommend going back to watch that match, and I really recommend having a little look at what happened at the end of Raw, because I think that's something that could potentially come back up. But this time next week, we're going to know two more spots in the Elimination Chamber, and then we'll have that one final spot, and we will know who's in the fight by then. I'm pretty sure. So Callum, predictions. Who do you think are taking them last two spots in both matches? That is.
Well, we mentioned Dominic, didn't we?
Yeah.
What about Braun Breaker?
Oh, how did I not think of that? Yeah.
I
Oh, of
mean,
course. And
push
the
him to the
spots
moon.
he could do in that, and you could have some really brilliant moments, especially with the skill level Logan pulls. No, you've nailed that. I genuinely think you've just actually got that correct. Bron Breaker and Seth Rollins are the last two. It would make so much sense. Yeah. And then for the women's, see if you can nail it again on this.
That Valkyrie lady, I think. I think that
Lyra
works.
Valkyria. And then who's taking the last spot?
I think it sadly will be Nia Jax, won't it?
Yeah, I just think it makes sense. It's one of those things where it's only when I started thinking about it, I was like, yeah. You got to look at the people that have had big stories over the last 6 months. I mean, you can't put Tiffany in there. You can't put Rhea in there. Charlotte's already just won the Rumble. Alexa's just come back and she's got her place. Bianca and Bailey are already in there. You're not going to get Jade Cargill in there purely because they've kind of put her on the bus. For now, the only other person that's had a big story is Nia Jax. It has to be her. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was I've really enjoyed this week. Very, very interesting. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to go on to wrestlecrate.co.uk and use that promo code when you get your free box with your first order. Remember to use the code BTTC when you go on there. We will see you guys next week. I've been Charlie,
And I've been Callum.
and this has been Before the Free Count. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you very
See you
much.
next week.